Canada's economic crisis is pushing millions to the edge. Once known as the land of opportunity, today it's become a financial nightmare for both citizens and immigrants alike. Remember when Canada was the dream destination, the place where hard work guaranteed a comfortable life? Well, those days are long gone. In 2025, Canada is facing its worst affordability crisis in history, with no end in sight. Let's look at the numbers. The average home price in Toronto has reached a staggering $1.8 million, making it one of the most unaffordable cities globally. Vancouver isn't far behind at $1.7 million. Even smaller cities like Ottawa and Calgary have seen prices double in just 5 years. But it's not just housing. Grocery prices have increased by 43% since 2020. A basic grocery run that cost $100 5 years ago now costs $143. Milk, eggs, bread, all essentials have become luxury items for many families. What happened to the Canadian dream? It started with ultra-low interest rates after the pandemic, which fueled a housing frenzy. Investors, both domestic and foreign, poured billions into real estate, treating homes as investment vehicles rather than places to live. When the Bank of Canada finally raised rates to combat inflation, it created a perfect storm. Higher mortgage payments combined with skyrocketing prices for everything else. The government's immigration policies have also contributed to the crisis. Canada welcomed over 500,000 newcomers in 2024 alone, without building enough housing to accommodate them. This has created fierce competition for limited housing stock, driving prices even higher. Young Canadians are feeling the impact most severely. A recent survey found that 78% of Canadians aged 25 to 35 have given up on ever owning a home. Many are delaying starting families or moving back in with parents. The term perpetual renters has become part of the national vocabulary. Take Sarah, a 32-year-old software engineer in Toronto making $95,000 a year, a salary that would be considered excellent in most countries. Yet she shares a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 roommates and spends over 50% of her income on rent. "I did everything right," she says. "I got a good education, found a good job, saved what I could. But it's still not enough to buy even a small condo." The middle class is disappearing. A family income of $120,000, once considered wealthy, now barely covers the basics in major Canadian cities. Households are taking on record levels of debt just to stay afloat. Consumer debt has reached $2.3 trillion nationwide, with the average Canadian owing $1.83 for every dollar they earn. The social consequences are becoming evident. Homelessness has increased by 35% since 2020. Food bank usage is at an all-time high, with even employed Canadians turning to these services to make ends meet. Mental health services report overwhelming demand, with financial stress cited as the primary cause. What's particularly alarming is the exodus of talent. For the first time in decades, Canada is experiencing net emigration of skilled workers. Over 150,000 Canadians left for more affordable countries in 2024 alone. The brain drain is real, with doctors, engineers, and tech workers fleeing to places where their salaries can provide a decent quality of life. The political landscape is shifting in response. Populist movements are gaining traction, promising radical solutions to the affordability crisis. Protests have become common in major cities, with demonstrators demanding rent control, foreign buyer bans, and massive public housing investments. Some provinces have attempted solutions. British Columbia implemented a 20% foreign buyer tax, while Ontario banned corporate ownership of single-family homes. But these measures have had minimal impact on the overall affordability crisis. Economists warn that Canada is approaching a breaking point. The high cost of living is suppressing consumer spending, threatening to push the economy into recession. Meanwhile, the wealth gap continues to widen, with property owners seeing their net worth soar while renters fall further behind. The Bank of Canada faces an impossible choice: keep interest rates high to fight inflation, crushing mortgage holders, or lower rates and risk even higher housing prices. For immigrants, the reality shock is particularly harsh. Many arrive with dreams of prosperity only to face financial hardship. Mohammed, an engineer from Egypt who immigrated in 2023, says, "I was told Canada needed skilled workers and offered great opportunities. Now I work 2 jobs just to afford a basement apartment for my family. Rural Canada offers some relief, with housing prices a fraction of those in major cities. But job opportunities are limited, and the infrastructure often lacks the amenities immigrants seek. The crisis has sparked a national conversation about what kind of country Canada wants to be. Can it remain a welcoming nation for newcomers if they can't afford to live there? Can it retain its talented youth if they can't envision a future of financial security? As we move through 2025, Canada stands at a crossroads. The decisions made now will determine whether the Canadian dream can be salvaged or whether it will become a cautionary tale of how quickly prosperity can slip away. For millions of Canadians, the question isn't about getting ahead anymore. It's about survival in a country that's become affordable for the very people who built it.